Okay, welcome back. So, episode 2, functions. Right, so last episode, winner on natin to. Kung brand new ka sa programming, I do advise na kasi may tinuturo din akong jargon doon, and like yung basics na loops, basics ng operators, basics ng conditionals. We'll continue here with functions. And itong, I would say, gagawin ko itong mas intermediate. Hindi lang tayo simpleng functions lang, let's work on higher order functions. This is very interesting kasi with Python, very, very gamit yung mga higher order functions. You can't really avoid it on the intermediate level or even like on the industry level. Talagang gagamit ka ng higher order functions regardless, right? Pero mamaya ko na-explain yung higher order functions. Let's just play this game as we go. Why do we need to use functions? May mga multiple reasons why you want to use functions. Number one, why you want to use functions is, abstraction. Right? Gusto mo naka-separate away code mo. Right? Kasi kung isa lang yung file na ginagamit ko and humahaba na naman, you could refer again kay episode 1. Bakit ayaw natin yun? Right? Hindi siya readable. Right? Mas mahirap i-refactor. No, there's stuff like that. Right? So ngayon, ina-abstract away natin yan. So kung gagawa ko ng function to plant this whole thing, right, we don't need to touch. Like, hindi natin kailangan hawakin yung stuff outside of it. Right? So ina-abstract away natin yan. Right? May layer of abstraction tayo. Right? Layers of abstraction. That's one way of thinking programmatically. It's in layers of abstraction. Later down the line, hindi man tayo gagamit nito. Like, hindi tayo magta-type niyan as is. Naka-abstract away na yan, right? And you'll see, no? Number 2, reduce repetition. Again, kapag ginagamit natin yung code ulit-ulit, that's a nice way na kailangan na natin mag-functions. And number 3 is, this is like a personal, meron kang parang loop ambiguity. Minsan kasi yung language mo nalilito. Right? So, kunyari naglagay ako ng break dito sa pinaka-inner loop. Hindi alam ng code minsan or ikaw mismo hindi mo alam kung anong be-break nito. Right? Anong be-break mo? Yung inner loop? O yung outer loop? O yung while loop? Right? So, may mga ambiguity ka na you deal with. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of applications of functions. Number 4 would be recursion. Honestly, this would be like number 0. Recursion, I have explained again in a YouTube video, siguro years back, right? Magagamit din to, hopefully, as we go into it. Yeah, kaka-unlock lang naman natin ng functions right, dito. And pwede rin natin to unlock yung import para mas malinis. Kasi kung gusto natin ibahin yung pa-plant niya, pwede natin i-modify tong threshold. So kung gagawin natin 1,000 yan, magpa-plant niya ng hay hanggang umabot na 1,000 right? So that's one way, no? So for now, gawa tayo ng maliit na file. Let's say we call this scheduler. Scheduler, and gawa din tayo bagong file, constants. So si constants, ikakabit ko siya dito para naman mas malinis. Yun. So, si constants, lipat natin dun. Typically, makikita mo rin to on production level code. Ayaw mo yung constants mo nakalagay sa isang file unless specific to that file. Pero very, like, maliit lang yung use case nun. Konti lang yung mga sitwasyon na gagawin mo yun, na yung constants na sa same file. Gusto mo kasi nasa ibang file para mas madaling control, mas madaling iset yung configuration, stuff like that, right? So, import natin yun from constants, right? How we do that is, kanyan, import constants, and then ipe-prepend mong ganyan, right? Prepend yung tawag dyan, right? Lagay sa simula. No, again, I'm just teaching you jargon here. And another way is append, lagay sa huli. So, prepend natin siya. Yun, constants dot, ganyan. And under pa din siya. Right? Pa-follow pa rin niya yung libo na yan. And this will be annoying to type. Gagawin na natin from constants, you import everything. Right? So, when we do this, hindi na kailangan i-prepend si constants. And just to prove to you na hindi ko kayo binubullshit, right? Kung tinanggal ko yon, mag-error yan. Right? Pero what I would like, right, is roughly sabihin natin equal to. Right? So kung may 200 hey ako, gusto ko may 200 wood ako, may 200 carrots ako. Right? So def get what to plant. So this is a new function. What a function does is may instructions ka sa loob and may arguments ka. Right? And then magre-return din siya. So kung meron tayong mga instructions here, right? And then meron tayong return. So get what to plant, right? Again, import natin si constants here. In C-like languages, kapag wala tayong nire-return, we call it, nagre-return siya ng void, right? So nagre-return niya ng void, meaning returns nothing, right? So return none in Python, right? Or basically return. So for example, ito, num items. Isa tong function. One way that you could tell it's a function is meron siyang parenthesis, open and closing, right? Itong sinum items, nire-return niyan is yung kung ilan hay tayo. So kung nirun ko siya ngayon, kung nag-print ako nung num items, makikita natin again, ito pag-define lang to. Hindi niya to run. Right? Just like in episode 1, I've told you, kung hindi siya nasa root ng file, hindi niya i-run yun. And in Python, in our case, right, kung nilagay ko to dito, print, ayun lang yung gagawin niya. Hindi niya to run. Right? It's as if gumawa ako ng bagong variable dito. Right? Define. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng def. Get what to plant something. Right? Yun yung nangyari dyan. Right? Hindi niya in-evaluate. So, para ma-evaluate natin yun, all we need to do is bigyan natin to ng parenthesis. Right? So with functions, you have two steps, right? Number one is dinedefine mo or ini-initialize mo, right? That's another term. And then number two is ini-evaluate mo. And kapag nag-evaluate ka, what happens here is nagra-run yung function. Run function, then return if meron. So ngayon, ito nag-evaluate, piprint niya yung items nating hay. Yan, 564. Yan. Kapag wala tayong ganon, it's not gonna run. Right? It's not a valid statement daw. Right? Although, kunyari naglagay ako yan, get what to plant 1. Yan, wala nangyari. Right? So, not a valid statement daw. In this section pala, it would be useful kung disable nyo to. Error on missing parenthesis. Disable natin yun. Later on, you will see why. So, yun. Functions define, right? Nag-define tayo dyan, and then nag-evaluate din tayo. With Python, meron ka special na directive. Typically, double underscore yung start niyan. Right? Ito, name. Nag-auto-complete na. So, kung piprint natin yung name niyan, pinrint niya main. Right? Ngayon, kung pupunta tayo dito kay constants, and then piprint natin yung name niyan, print niya rin main. Right? Catch is, kasi ito nasa root na yan, kapag nag-i-import ka ng file, run niya lahat to kasama yung print. Right? So, pwede pa tayo mag-print. So, kapag pinlay ko itong si scheduler, run niya muna lahat na naka constants. And then, print sa name. Right? So, kita niyo yan. This is not supposed to run. Constants and then main. Right? So, kung check natin yung output, right? This is not supposed to run. Constants. Pinrint niya yung name nung module and then yun yung main. So, sa Python, kapag nag-run ka ng isang file, kunyari naka-command line ka, right? Kapag nag-run ka ng Python 3 something.py, right? Run niya lahat yan, and then, ayun. Essentially, kapag yung nirun mong to, kukunin mo yung name variable niya, piprint niya main, kung yun yung nirun mong file. And useful yun. Kasi pwede na tayong mag-define ng entry points. So, if name is equal to main, ito yung meaning nun. Kaya nakikita nyo ito madalas sa mga Python stuff. Right? So, kapag pinlay ko itong si constants, ayun, this is not supposed to run, main. Kapag pinlay ko si scheduler ulit, right? Yan, print natin yung, wala na, hindi nila piprint yung kanina. So, that's pretty useful for, yun nga, for debugging and for safety din. Right? So, kunyari itong si main, yung magandang pattern typically is, meron ka yan, if name equals main, and then gagawa ka ng isang buong function dyan. def main, right? And then i-indent mo lahat yan, right? That way, kung just in case na import to somewhere, hindi niya run yung default stuff niya, right? So ito, andan na naman yung program natin, no problem, right? And in our case here, gusto natin may ganun din para madali tayo mag-debug. Sige, print get what to plant. So ginagawa ni get what to plant ngayon is piniprint niya lang yung items ni Hey. Actually, tawag dito, ilipat muna natin to. Mamaya na natin to implement, right? And then, i-paste natin siya dyan. Send natin itong comments. Gets nyo na to. And then, kapag hindi tayo nag-return here, right? Kapag pinlay ko lang siya, ayun, none yung piprint niya. Right? So, we have to return talaga yung kailangan natin i-plant. Right? So, yan, piprint niya, entities.grass. So, bumawas na yung code natin dito. Right? So, what we'll do here is yun, what to plant, right, is equal to, again, let's not forget, import natin yun. Import everything. Get what to plant. And a-under na ulit yung ating stuff. So, para ma-unlock kasi natin si lists, kailangan ng 500 carrots eh. And si Bush, laging isang wood lang ang bibigay niyan. Yung better source of wood natin, itong si trees. Right? Pero may challenge din tong si trees. Better way to get wood than bushes. Kasi 5 wood yung bigay. Yung problema lang is, kapag may katabi siya, twice the time it takes na mag-grow. Right? Like, super tagal niya mag-grow. And to demonstrate that to you, yun, tatanim siya ng puno, makita mo dahil ito may katabi na yan, grow time 31. Right? Ito yung mas worse, itong nasa gitna. Grow time 100 seconds. So, maghihintay ka ng 2 minutes for 5 wood. And super hindi yun worth it. And again, this is a challenge for you. Kung ayaw mo ma-spoil, skip mo yung section. Or don't watch this. Watch this after mo na laro tong game. Pero one optimal way na para to make sure wala siyang katabi, right? Kasi itong 4 na katabi yung problema niyan, is i-plant natin siya in a checkerboard pattern. Di ba? That's a nice way. Right? And yung checkerboard pattern, how we do that is kukunin natin kung divisible yung stuff. And to check kung divisible siya, meron tayong isang operator na tinatawag na modulo. Right? Yung modulo, essentially, dinidivide niya yung isang number and then nire-return niya yung remainder. Right? So, basic grade 1, grade 2 mathematics, right? Arithmetic. So, kung titignan natin yung output, nakita natin, ayan yung X, ayan yung Y. Kung nagtatanim siya, sabihin natin ito yung position ng bot, right? Gusto natin to 3, gusto natin to something else, 3, something else. Walang problema yon. Pwede kukunin natin kung divisible siya by 2. Makita mo mamaya may problems din yan down the line. Dahil mangyayari niyan kung basic na modulo lang ginawa natin. Magkakahilera tayo. Hindi siya checkerboard, right? And I can show you that. Pwede natin gawan ng special case dito sa loob. So, eto, pwede natin gawin dito, if y, modulo 2. Right? Modulo 2, di-divide niya by 2. No, and then kukunin niya yung remainder. Right? If y modulo 2 is 0, right? And, so gagawa na tayong ano dyan. Gagawa na tayong compound na conditional. And what to plant is equal to entities.3. Right? So, kung 3 yung naka-choose for planting, and naka-even yung ating y, right? Edi i-plant natin yung... Actually, hindi. Lagyan natin to as else. Kasi gusto natin kapag nag-plant tayo ng carrot or ng grass, default pa din to. Otherwise, magpa-plant tayo ng bush. Right? So, makita natin, kapag pinlay ko to, magiging hilera yan ng plants. So, ngayon, eto, makita natin hilera siya. Right? And nag-improve na yan. Ito, 25 seconds daw yung growth time. Right? And, yeah, on average yan, 25, 28. Compared dun sa 100 kanina. Pero pwede natin to improve mabilisan. Right? So, para magawa natin tong checkerboard, what we'll do here is it's as if pagbabaliktad na lang natin to. And the way na pagbabaliktad natin yon is pwede nating i-add yung first number. For example, ito yung first column natin, right? Tama to. So, sabihin natin sa mga even numbers, nagpa-plot siya ng 3, right? Dito, mga even numbers niya, magpa-plot din naman siya ng 3. Pero one way na pwede natin i-offset yon is i-add na lang natin tong 1, right? Yung original, right? That way, ito magiging 1, 2, 3, 4. So, parang nag-swap to, right? So, again, basic mathematics, basic arithmetic, when it comes to divisibility. So, instead of y modulo 2, what we'll do here is i-add muna natin si x, right? And that way, checkerboard pattern na yung nangyayari. And we're getting much more wood. Ito, in no time, pa 600 na. And kung kukuha tayo ng puno, ito, alright, kukuha tayo ng puno dyan. Yung growth time by default, ayun, nasa 7 seconds lang. Hanap pa tayo ng puno sa gitna. Yan. Ito, nasa 8 seconds, right? So yun, now that we have enough wood, let's go and improve din yung output ni carrots, number 1. And yung size ng farm. Right? Kasi medyo nababottleneck na tayo doon. Speed ng drone. Pwede natin babahan yung threshold for now, which is nice na dahil nasa constants lang. Madali lang yun. Reset natin yung program natin para mag-start siya mag-plant ng carrots. Right? I'll see you in a bit kapag gumalaw na yung carrots. Okay, medyo gumalaw si carrots. And ngayon gusto ko na actually improve to. Itong hindi nagagamit. Kasi lumalaki na farm natin eh. And dumadami na yung percent na hindi natin na-utilize eh. So improve natin yung main. Right? Actually, in my case, I would like to have gawa tayo ng function na taga-plant ng buong field. Right? And then papasa na lang natin yung plant type na gusto natin i-plant. And then gawa tayo ng bago. Let's name this farmland. And gawa tayo ng bagong function, plant whole field, right? And then nagtitake to ng argument. So tawag dito argument. Specifically tawag dito required argument to. Meron din tayong mga optional arguments, right? Or args. Magiging optional to kapag binigyan natin to ng default. So yung default value, sabihin natin plant type entities.bush. So kung hindi tayo nagpasa ng plant, magpa-plant lang siya ng bush. So ngayon, plant whole field, right? Papasa natin yung code kanina. What I would like to do is i-move natin tong si harvest. Lagay natin si harvest bago kay till. Para i-harvest niya muna and then dun siya mag-plant. Huwag tayo mag-harvest after mag-plant. Right? Kasi I think that's what's causing itong mga empty fields natin. Right? So ngayon, pwede natin kunin to. Right? So ito si main. From farmland, import lahat. And instead of doing this, we just do plant whole field. Kapag pinlay ko yan, ayan, may error tayo. Dahil hindi siya nag-match dun sa argument. Right? So, palitan lang natin to with yung variable dito. Right? Yung argument natin dyan. So, ngayon si main, very readable na yan. Right? So, kung first time mo sa isang malaking code base, right? Yung mga logic natin naka-separate. Itong si main natin, essentially ginagawa niya, naka-infinite loop siya. De-decide niya anong pa-plant, and then plant mo yung buong field. Right? So, naka-abstract away. Right? Remember, yun yung term natin. Naka-abstract away na yung business logic. Right? Yung business logic nung pag-plant. Hindi na, wala na yun sa main mismo. And then we can see here, right? Dahil dun sa quick na pag-switch, dun sa harvest and nung pag-plant, right? Wala na tayong empty fields na hindi nagagamit. Right? So, lagi may madadatnan yung bot. Right? Hindi siya makakakita ng blanco na farmland. So, naka-utilize naman. So, anyway, with the number of resources we have, let's start unlocking stuff again. So, later on, right, kailangan din natin mag-plant ng mas complex na plants. Right? Right now, simple lang to eh. Right? Magpa-plant ka lang, magtitil ka lang, right? Bubungkalin mo lang yung soil. Dito napapasok yung mas challenging na plants. And I think yung unang challenging dito is yung pumpkin. Right? So yeah, I'll let this run. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we are back. So let's start unlocking ulit. So in the meantime, habang di pa yun kumpleto, right, i-explain ko sa inyo yung pumpkins, right? So, 20% chance pwedeng mamatay yung isang pumpkin. Pero yung catch, nag-merge yung pump, right? So, nag-merge siya in a square. So, kung meron akong fully grown na 2x2 na pumpkin dito, magiging isang malaking pumpkin yun. And kagandahan nun, kung may malaking pumpkin ako ng buong farmland, mas marami din ako makukuha. So, for example yun, one pumpkin is to one, right? Pero kung buo, sabihin natin to 5x5, 125 pumpkins. So, per pumpkin na pinlant natin, right, may times 5 tayo. No? So, yun yung target natin, malaking pumpkin. Like, yeah, sure, pwede ka mag-plant ng pumpkins, that's it, i-harvest mo. Bahala na kung may mag-merge. Pero, programmers tayo, right? What differentiates you from like a guy na nagfa-follow lang ng random tutorials sa YouTube or nagka-copy-paste ng code sa Stack Overflow is you make good programs. A good program is yun, efficient. Right? There's a number of factors what makes a good program. Pero one of them is being efficient. Kasi yung pumpkin may yan eh. May cost yan eh. Right? May gastos yung pumpkin. Hindi naman libre. So let's get yung pinakamaraming pumpkins na pwede. Right? With the least cost. Kasi I'll give you some notes. Kung hindi nag-merge, right? Let's say, best case scenario, nakaka 2x2 pumpkins tayo. So, sabihin natin, naka 2x2 yan, roughly. So, on average, let's say, itong 6x6, 36, right? So, may 36 pumpkins with 2 pumpkins with approximately 2 pumps per harvest. Makaka 8 pumpkins ka instead of 4. And we will get 72 pumpkins per field. Versus kung magma-merge, meron tayo 6x6 pumpkins, right? 36 pumpkins with a full efficiency of 6 pumpkins per harvest. And you could just see yung mental math, 196? 196 ba to? 216, right? So, makaka 216 pumpkins ka per field. So, it will take you roughly 3 times. 3 plant and harvest na naman. Hintay mo mag-grow, right? It will take you roughly 3 times para maabot mo yung isang buong pag-merge ng pumpkin, right? So, very important na mag-merge tayo kung kaya. Right? So, let's solve that problem. So, una, i-unlock natin yung lists. Kasi for me, important to. Okay, so first off, what will be important for me and for you in the long term is we start learning about higher order functions. So yung meaning ng higher order functions is ginagamit mo yung functions as input. Right? And it does kind of require na yung functions mo, they are treated as first-class citizens. Right? So first-class citizens here, right, it's yung meaning nun is available yung lahat ng functionality ng isang language sa isang bagay. Functions can be higher order and they're not first-class citizens. Hindi sila tightly equal, right? Pero when it comes to terminology, we're gonna use higher order functions. Kasi we're gonna use it as input eh. Input to other functions din. Or as argument. As an arg. So, how do we do that? Like, ano yung usefulness nun? So, pwede ko pakita sa inyo dito. Right? So, si farmland, right? Actually, gawa tayo ng ano. Kasi gusto ko nagra-run to habang gumagawa tayo ng bagong code. Gusto ko nagra-run yan habang gumagawa tayo ng bagong code. And in the business, we call that staging, parang staging environment. Right? So, typically, meron kang dev, your local, yung nasa PC mo. And then staging is yung parang testing mo, right? Na available sa iba. And then meron kang production, which is available sa lahat. So ito yung parang pinaka-public mo. So let's treat this as production. Ayaw natin walang ginagawa yung drone. So when you play this game and then nagmo-modify ka ng function, sabihin mo, minomodify ko to, right? Magsasap yung drone eh. Right? And kung buggy yung code ko, mas lalong walang gagawin. So, habang nagko-code up tayo ng solution, let's just play this and let's edit on a file called staging. So, sa staging natin, let's copy yung contents ni... So, ngayon itong si plant whole field, it does what it does. Right? Pa-plant niya yung buong field. Let's make another function. Sabihin natin, def do every cell. And then, pwede tayo magpasa ng function. So, makita natin yung isang argument natin dito, function. So, let's get this. Ganyan. And alisin natin ito lahat. And then, instead, what we will do is, kukunin natin yung function, and then we just call it, right? We evaluate the function. What we can do here is, pwede natin itong palitan. So, within plant whole field, gawa na naman tayo ng bagong function here. Right? So, def plant and harvest. Then, pwedeng walang argument yan. Kukunin na lang niya yung plant type dito sa taas. And then, alisin natin itong for loop. Alisin natin itong mga moves. Right? I-keep natin yung print para lang kita. I-balik natin yung indent. Now, it's as if gumawa tayo ng bagong variable dito. So, plant and harvest equals whatever stuff here. Hindi natin siya kinol. Much like yung nangyari kanina. Diba? Ngayon, what we do here is we do every cell. Right? And then, papasa natin si plant and harvest. No? Medyo mind-boggling siya sa simula. Pero, this will work. So, ngayon, ito yung staging natin. Pwede natin i-copy yan. Paste natin si farmland. Play. Right? Dito kay main. Play. And tayo na may error tayo. So, wala tayong x plus y. Kasi nag-checkered siya eh. What we can do as well is, instead of getting the xy here, xy, get pos x, and get pos y. May onting overhead, right? Ito yung term dun, overhead. Overhead meaning niyan is extra time or extra resources na gagamitin mo for a certain thing. So may extra overhead kasi parang 1 or 2 ticks yung gagawin nito. Nakukunin niya current position niya. Compared dun sa meron na tayong x and y. Right? Pero okay lang yun. So, xy, get pos x, get pos y. Copy natin yan. Paste. Play. Oops, mali. Ito. And, ayun, maanda. Right? That's wild, no? So, i-explain ko sa inyo ano nangyayari. Essentially, in-evaluate na to with this argument, plant and harvest. Pinasa niya to, right? And then, actually, depende sa argument mo dito, nag-iiba yung function mo dyan. Dahil dependent siya dun sa plant type eh. Gagawa na naman siya ng bagong function na ganyan. Right? Na for that plant type. Right? And then, call niya to for do every cell, call mo yan. Right? And then, gagawin niya tong do every cell. Yung wild nga dyan is, for example, right? Kunin natin to from farmland, import all. Right? Sabihan tayo staging, gawa tayo ng do every cell. No? Another example here is, pwede natin i-print yung position niya. Right? Para lang kung nakikita nyo na now mas flexible yung pwede natin gawin. Right? And hindi na natin gagawin tong 4x, 4y every single time. So gagawa tayo dito, let's say print position. Print position, mag-do a flip ka, and then print mo si get pos x, get pos y. Right? And that's it. Ito yung pinaka-function natin. Do every cell, print position. So kung pe-play ko to si staging, right? Yan. Pe-print na position niya, flip. Yan. So yan, iterate niya yung buong farm. Right? Iterate over the whole farm na naman siya. Right? Hintayin natin siya mag-move to the next column. Yan. Yun. So, yun yung usefulness ng mga higher order functions. Right? Or part of the usefulness. In actual Python, you have other stuff like decorators, stuff like that. Pero for now, that works. Di ba? It works perfectly. Kasi gagamitin natin yan for pumpkins. Right? So, itong parent function natin, what if may arguments? Right? So, let's put in args equals none. Right? So, meron tayong optional na arguments. Right? So, for every cell in the farm, we call yung function with the args, no? And then, gusto ko din makuha yung value. So, magkaka-return value tayo dito. So, with functional programming, right, you can call this a reduction function, right? Reduction or reduce, right? Kasi i-reduce natin yung mga iterations into a single return value. So, let's put in an accumulator kasi mag-accumulate siya, right? We also call this an acc, right? Acc is also another function. So, we call the function and then i-collect natin yung return value ni function. Call natin si acc and then an initial value, right? So, none. Mag-assign tayo ng return value just in case may return tong si function. Actually, return of iteration, right? Ito yung meaning niyan, right? Pero shorthand for now, right, is ret it. Right? Gagawin ko ret it. So what we will do here is yung pinaka-return natin. Kasi sa dulo ng function na to, let's return a ret. Gagawin natin dito is i-assign natin si ret with init for now. Now, if define si acc, right? If define si acc, what we will do is si ret i-equals natin sa accumulator and then yung first argument niya is itself, right? And yung iteration natin, yung return ng iteration natin. That way, nako-collect natin siya. And then, re-return natin yun. So, for now, pwede ko i-copy-paste to. This should work as well sa current nating execution. Sa current nating logic. Import natin ulit. And gawa tayo ng test function. Right? So, def add accumulator. Actually, mali yung terms ko. So, napag-google ako saglit. By the way, this should be, sabihin natin ag. Sabihin natin aggregator na lang or something. Right? Instead of accumulator. Kasi dito papasok yung accumulator. Accumulator natin yung itong si return value. Right? So, ganyan. Something like that. So, my mistake. So, anyway. So, gagawa tayong bagong function. Add acc. Add ag. Right? Accumulated or accumulator and then yung iterated value natin. And then, nare-return natin is basically add niya lang yan. Ngayon, gagawa tayong def plot counter. Wala siyang take na arguments. Right, for now. And magre-return lang siya ng 1. Finally, do every cell. Piprint natin yung dulo ng do every cell. Do every cell, anong function? Plot counter. Walang arguments, no? Let's put args here kasi mag-error to. Sadly, dito sa game na to, walang unpacking. Maganda sana sa actual na Python, pwede kang magka-function args. I leave this as an exercise for you, ano meaning nito. Pero walang ganyan na functionality sa game. Right? So for now, maglalagay lang tayong walang kwentang argument. So plot counter, none. Right? Actually, pasa natin yung args. Hindi pala ito nakapasa. Pati pala dito niyan. Right? Bibigyan natin ito ng args equals none. Okay, plot counter, none, dun sa argument. And then, ano yung aggregator natin? Si add ag. Right? Do not evaluate it. Right? Si add ag. And then, yung initial value natin is 0. Right? And then, yung expectations ko dito is, for every plot, magre-return siya ng 1. And then, i-aggregate niya nun lahat ng mga 1. I-re-return niya dapat is yung square ng lahat ng plots, essentially. And, oops, nagprint na 0. Bakit ka nagprint ng 0? If ag. Sorry, my bad. So, play natin ulit. And, ayun, 36. Right? So, doing well so far. Balik natin si main. So, how do we solve etong si Pumpkins? Right? Si Pumpkins, gawa tayo nito. Right? So, def plant pumpkins. No. Wag natin siya bigyan ng arguments for now. So, plant pumpkins. Gagawa tayo ng def, same lang kay plant and harvest. So, di natin kailangan si XY. If can harvest, harvest. Right? And kung hindi siya grassland till, tama yun. Right? And then, di na natin to kailangan. Right? Magpa-plant lang tayo ng entities.pumpkin. So, first step is pa-plant niya lahat ng pumpkin. So, do every cell, plant and harvest. Or harvest and plant. Actually, that's a better better name, right? So, harvest and plant. So, meron na tayong initial planting nung pumpkins, right? So, we have a full field of pumpkins after this. Next is tatrack natin kung sino yung mga pumpkins na namatay. So, in that case, what I will want is meron tayong track pumpkins that died. So, pumpkins that died, do every cell. Ngayon, gagawa tayo ng function na, kanina to si plot counter, diba? So, what we will do here is, if get entity type is equal to entities.deadPumpkin, return natin yung position. Yun yung importante sa atin eh. So, gagawa tayo ng tuple. Right? Tawag dito tuple. Which is an ordered list. And tawag natin dyan, immutable siya. So, di siya pwedeng palitan. So, gagawa tayong tuple, get pos x and get pos y. And then, itong aggregator natin, instead of nag-add siya, what we will do is ina-append niya yung iterated. So, kung list to, idadagdag niya yung element na to sa list na yun. Right? So, meron tayong list ag. So, do every cell, right? Replant dead pumpkins. No? I-name natin replant dead pumpkins. So, if dead pumpkin siya, i-return natin to, right? As well as i-plant tayo ng bagong pumpkin. Andun na rin tayo total, right? So, might as well mag-plant na rin tayong bagong pumpkin. So, meron tayong pumpkins that died to every cell, right? Replant dead pumpkins. No args. We don't need an arg, no? Yung aggregator function natin. And we start with an empty list. And for now, let's do na i-print natin yung mga namatay na pumpkins. So, ito yung output, right? And let's run this, no? So check natin kung okay itong logic. So, makikita mo ang dami nating na-save na time. Hindi na tayo redefine ng mga for loop dyan. And easy enough, makukuha din natin yung mga coordinates ng dead pumpkins. Right? Kung walang errors. So, play natin. Right? So, yan. Pa-plant siya ng pumpkins. Yun yung initial plant niya. Right? Catch is, kaya pa-plant muna natin lahat ng pumpkins. Kasi, mga ibang pumpkins, hindi sila fully grown yet eh. Right? Okay. The one argument of append was not. So, print din natin si act before. So, yan. Debugging. Okay, first breakpoint. Print na si act. No list. No element list. Like, empty list siya. And then, naging none. So, bakit siya naging none? Right? Naging none daw siya dito. Dapat nagre-return siya. Okay. So, my mistake. Right? Si act kasi in place yun eh. So, act append. And then, re-return natin si act. So, that was my mistake. Play lang natin. Okay, breakpoint. Empty list. Right? Coordinates. And then, dapat yung list na may coordinates na. Ayun. Then, hanap siya ng next na dead pumpkin. Right? And then, kukunin niya yung argument. Kukunin niya yung position. And then, papasa niya. Right? Yun yung act natin. Yan yung iteration. Papasa niya doon. So, nakakabuo tayo ng list of coordinates ng mga dead pumpkins. Right? Okay. So, sounds good. Alisin natin mga to. Right? Now, i-run ko to ulit. We should see yung full list ng pumpkins that died. Right? So, i-clear ko saglit para fresh state tayo. Right? So, yun. Nafo-form na yung list natin here. Right? Kasi iniwan ko yung mga print statements dun. Right? Mas matagal na onte, pero for educational purposes to. Right? Nice. So yung dulong pag-print niya, pinrint na niya yung full list. Right? Ito lahat ng mga pumpkins na namatay. We would like to go over that list and then check natin kung patay pa sila. And then replant. Una, alisin ko tong mga prints. Okay, para di makalat. Now, I will make a new file. Right? Ituloy ko lang tong main, by the way. I will make a new file, let's say, navigation. Kasi gusto ko ng bagong function. Travel to point fastest. Ito medyo brute force-ish to. Pero it's really the best. It's really the best solution that we have right now. So, travel to point fastest. Hindi ko alam kung may absolute value na tayo. Yeah, kailangan ng 1,000, 1,000 pumpkins. Pero for now, what we'll do here is may input tayo xy, right? So, while get pos x, right? Gagamit tayo ng while loop. While get pos x is not equal to yung target x natin, right? Edi move tayo east, right? Mag-loop around naman yan eh. Walang problema, right? And while get pos y is not equal to y, move tayo north, right? Now, this could be better. Siyempre, kunyari, yung point niya nandito, and then nandito yung bot. Gagawin niya mag-east siya and then mag-north eh. Right? Pero pwede naman siya mag-west and mag-south, babalik siya dyan. It's not the best. Pero right now, dahil wala tayong absolute value, ayokong gumawa ng wacko mathematics na hindi nyo masyado gets. So this can, this can work for now. So from navigation, import all, right? So what we'll do here is, while pumpkins that died, habang may laman pa yan, so length of that list. So habang may laman pa yung pumpkins that died, we go to that point, right? So first off, we go get, actually hindi, 4 chords, right? Or pwedeng for target X, target Y, in pumpkins that died. So this should be possible, right? Kasi gagawin niya yung X and Y na nandito, matik na niyang a-assign dyan. Pwede ko rin gawing chords, right? At least for now, para mas gets natin, right? And para mas, para mas verbose, target X is yung first element ni chords. Yung target Y natin is yung second element ni chords. Yan, travel to point fastest, target X, target Y. If get entity type is equal to entities.deadPumpkin, i-replant natin yung pumpkin. And then we continue. Right? Essentially, tutuloy niya lang yung loop. Skip niya yung code sa baba. Otherwise, if get entity type, right, is equal to entities.pumpkin, right, and can harvest, right, ibig sabihin, fully grown na yung pumpkin, right, pwede na nating i-skip in the next turn. So, aalisin na natin yung pumpkins that died. So, pumpkins that died, that remove, aalisin natin yung chords. And then finally, after nito, dapat buo na yung board natin. Right? And then mag-harvest na tayo na. Right? And then finally harvest. Okay. Now, let's go try it. Right? So, clear. Then, pa-plant siya ng pumpkins. Yeah, okay lang naman clear yan. Couch lang naman yun. So, yan. Habang nagra-run yun, mag-upgrades muna tayo. Upgrade natin yung speed. Yan, max na yung speed. Para mabilis na yung drone kasi ang bagal. Right? So, ayan. Plant niya pumpkins. And then, kukunin niya yung mga suspects. And then, magta-travel siya dun sa mga suspects. Right? And then, ayun, check niya yun. Tapos. And that's how you do it with higher order functions. Right? Later on, mas maraming reuse pa tayo magagamit dun sa do every cell. So, yun. That's how we do it. No? Sa pang-run. Right? You can see it here. Yun yung natin. Execution. Tapos, ang laban. Diba? And ayun, that's it for this episode. I think this is a longer one. right? And I think medyo mas cerebral to na onte. Kasi kung hindi ka sanay na nagpapasa ka ng function na sa variable, right? Ayun, dito ka masasanay. Right? So, ayun. That's it. I think next episode, try natin pang i-refactor. And I think yung next plant natin, mas challenging yun. I'll see you then.